Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking part to this workshop XPRESS Stakeholder Cafe in Lisbon, actually. And here we have João Dinis from the Cascais municipality. My name is Paola Zerilli. I am the scientific coordinator of the XPRESS project. I am from the economics department at University of York. So thank you, João, for being here. João is representative of the office on climate action in Cascais municipality. And please, João, tell us about your experience in investing on renewable energy sources with your municipality.
Our experience regarding renewable energy sources is very diverse, but we mostly act at the local level, obviously, with a wide set of stakeholders, both technologically providers or legal framework service providers, as well as citizens themselves as customers. We have been actively engaged in understanding how we can reduce our carbon footprint, as well as how we can do it by investing more on solar energy production. So I would say that that is the main function that we try to do here.
Have you ever used green public procurement for this type of investment as a tool for actually implementing this investment?
Yes, the green public procurement is very important for us because it does help us to provide with a better way to work with both new technologies, but also those services that can reply better to our environmental needs and our decarbonization needs as well. It is a challenge because the law here in Portugal is very specific when it comes to procurement, and sometimes the best environmentally speaking solution is not the most viable in terms of economics. So because it does have a medium to long-term return of investment. So it's something that we obviously try to consider, but not only is it not possible at all times, but it's something it might be considered even illegal.
That you have for assigning this type of contracts is the minimum price, right? The minimum cost, not actually the impact on the environment.
So we have to consider most of all minimum cost, but we have the possibility to include some technical requirements that go towards the objective of having an environmental impact. However, the decision criteria is mostly the reduced price.
Another question I have is when implementing, when for example you want to invest in this type of technologies and you launch a public procurement, what is your experience? How many of these contracts are actually assigned? What is the percentage of these contracts assigned to small and medium enterprises? And in that case, what type of barriers have you encountered, if any, and what type of solutions would you advise?
Well, for the type of company, the size of company, that requests more information about the procurement process to be able to be a viable candidate diverges in size depending on the investment that we require. So a small investment for, let's say, one single building might come from smaller or medium-sized companies, whether bigger investments come from bigger companies as well, because that's what they're looking for. And I would say that they are always interested in any procurement process that we put out. They always ask us lots of questions on the technical details, but it's mainly related to the installation, for example, of technology itself, but not necessarily a process of installation and trying to explore the potential for energy production. So it's very limited. That is something that is usually reserved for ourselves. So let's just say the conceptualization and the philosophy of the project is never questioned by them because they just want to know a bit more about the service that they will be providing and for a price.
For example, if small enterprises want to sell you a technology, you haven't experienced any perhaps financial strain that they might have if they need to, produce these technologies before being paid?
I would say that smaller companies have a delivery problem. That means, for example, if we want a big project with lots of PV equipment or a very innovative electric installation system and so on, they might have some delivery delays because they need indeed to provide the technology, develop it, and bring it on. Bigger companies would say that they have this more assessed and easier for them to reply in the short term. But however, on our public procurement processes, we always try to barrier the timing for implementation. So there's a time limit. Within X months, you should implement the solution. Within Y months, you should give us some KPIs and performance indicators, and so on.
Okay. So, do you ever try to collaborate with them so that this type of delivery can be facilitated or?
Yes, we try to do that, and it's actually predicted in law, in procurement process, that we can have these pre-consultations to assess what type of technology is the most viable for a given set of solutions, and we go with that. After that, we go with the public procurement process, which is very transparent. All the information is public, and anyone can do this.
Can you give us an example of a success story in public procurement involving renewable energy sources, either technologies or services or both, please?
I can give you a very interesting case study. So when you ask me what is the most interesting case study for photovoltaic installation, it's not the technology providing itself, it's actually the legal analysis of how this production will be managed and distributed with partners. And for that, for example, we have made a public procurement for legal services, legal consultation services, where we explain a concept, where we explain which laws regulate that concept, and we want to make sure that we must retrieve the biggest return of investment possible for us, for our investors, but also the participating citizens. So that is very interesting because it was a new process for everyone. And when we're doing a procurement on that, we have to lay out what the outputs are, but we have to work together on them. So we need a lot of flexibilization. And that I would say it's the biggest challenge because luckily everything went out really, really well.
We're giving a presentation during our XPRESS Stakeholder Cafe, and you were saying that the main barriers that you have been encountering are the legal barriers actually. So this type of procurement will be targeted to actually solve this type of barriers, and perhaps this could be a first step of giving some input to the European Commission to propose some solutions to these legal barriers.
Absolutely. So solar photovoltaic panels have been in the market for years. It's nothing new. Technology keeps progressing, costs keep going down, but I would say that the majorization of this process will actually come from new concepts for energy production. So for example, the energy communities. In Portugal, Spain or Southern European countries, this is a key solution for us to be more energy independent. And so the solutions that we have and the legal framework that we have will give us a lot more independence to reduce our carbon footprint, which will help us then to achieve the goals for the carbon neutrality country by 2050.
So are you planning to have anytime soon a public procurement on renewable energy sources, either technologies or services or both?
So in the short term, we are expecting to have both public procurement for energy services, but also for energy production installations for PV solar panels. It is something that we are trying to do, the first large-scale energy community in Cascais, and probably the first one in Portugal, where a municipality is heavily engaged to make sure that the return of the investment will come at the short term and it has safety for all involved. We are a large energy consumer because we have so many infrastructures. We have schools, museums, cultural, administrative equipment, and so on. And we need to make sure that everyone thinks this is a safe bet, because if it is, then we will surely have a replication of our solutions.
It would be really great to hear more about this. Please keep us up to date, because the XPRESS project is finishing at the end of August, but we'll keep having activities related to that in the near future, and also with other other research projects in this area. So it will be great to hear from you about your progress and your experiences and your feedback as well. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for inviting us, and congratulations on a very important project.